Okay, lesson 3.3, subtracting integers. All right, as we did before, as I write down stuff, you write down stuff. So whatever I write down, unless I say otherwise, there might be a number line that I do that you guys don't have to write down. So section 3.3, real world link, diving. The platform on a diving board is 3 meters high. So that would be like this. Come on. There's a diving board. The actions of a diver climbing up the diving board platform and diving 1 meter below the water's surface is shown on the number line to the right. The diver's actions can be represented by the situation, or this subtraction equation. So the diver starts here, he climbs up 1, 2, 3, or she dives up in this situation, 3 meters. Then what she does is she dives all the way down, 1, 2, 3 to the water, and then 1 underneath. So she ends up at -1 meters. She does eventually come up. I promise. She turns out okay. She actually earns a gold medal. You can see it at the bottom of your page. So write an addition sentence for that. Excuse me. We have 3. So we go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're adding a -4. We're adding a -4 because she's diving down the number line. She's diving down the number line. So we're adding the distance from the water that she travels then. And we have that come out to be, from yesterday's work, being -1. Are you writing this down? Your hands are by your side. Use a number line to find -1 minus 5. Then write the related addition sentence. So we start at 1. We are subtracting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We end up at -4. We end up at -4. Are you writing what I'm writing? So an addition problem to that would be, we start at 5, and we are adding a -5. Do you agree that we're adding a -5 to that? We started at 1, we're adding a -5 to go to the left. Now here's one way to think of it that some of the students had trouble with last period until 3/4 of the way through these notes. We learned that a negative sign is also an opposite. We learned that a negative sign is also an opposite. So what would be the opposite of 1 minus 5? If this is an opposite, what's the opposite of subtraction? Addition. The opposite of subtraction is addition, but we still have to keep it as a -5. Okay? That'll come more clear in a minute here. The difference, or the answer to a subtraction problem, is -4, and the addition sentence we wrote up there. 1 plus -5. And here's the person that won her gold medal, because she just got out of the pool. And she won. Yay, good for her. Next page. Subtracting integers. To subtract an integer, add its additive inverse. And we knew the additive inverse from yesterday's lesson. The additive inverse is just the number that makes an integer reach 0 again. So if it's a negative integer, its additive integer, or its additive inverse is just the opposite of that, and vice versa. So the symbols are, any number p minus q is the same thing of p plus the opposite of q. Or, for example, we have 4 minus 9 is the same thing as 4 plus -9. And here's one of those situations where I wish that this, oops, get this out of the way. I wish that this right here was right there, and I wish that this right here was down here. But so that is also, so that comes out to be -5 for the first one. And then 7 minus -10 is equal to the same thing as 7 plus -10. So I wonder if there's a way that I can demonstrate this for YouTube. Because I can describe it to you guys right now, but I think I can do it. Let's see here. Let's do a shape. Let's do a shape. So if I have, let's get my face out of there. Come on, screen, go away. There we go. If I, please? Please? All right. Yeah, it's been a year since I've used this program. Let's do. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to do it on my face. Okay. So I have a negative symbol, and I have another negative symbol, like that example that we just had for for 7 minus -10 right here. 7 minus -10. I take the minus and the negative. I turn one of them like this, and the minus and the negative, like a double negative when we speak English, becomes a positive. So I want everybody to hold your arm or forearm out like this. Hold your other forearm out like this. So when you have minus a negative, it becomes a positive. So it adds to be a plus sign. Am I recording? Okay. Woo. Becomes a positive sign. So what we just did is we had our arms out like this. For those of you who can't see what I'm doing right now, we had one arm like this and our other arm like this. Here's our happy faces. Okay? And then what we did was we kept one arm like this and we moved our other arm like this to create a positive symbol. And we were being positive about it. Okay? That doesn't look good. Okay. So it's, yeah, it wasn't a very good picture. Yeah, we lost our hands. We lost our hands. When you subtract 7, the result is the same as adding its additive inverse. So, as we were doing in the page before this, we have 6 minus 7 is the same thing as 6 plus -7. So we have the number 6 integer, and we are adding a negative to it. We are adding a negative to it. So we have, Hayden, you guys are either in health or PE, whatever it is right now. Gotcha. So for this one, 6 plus -7, we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we are adding a -7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we end up at -1. Find 8 minus 13. We're going to do the additive inverse of that, so we're going to do the same thing of 8 minus 13 is going to be 8 plus -13. So on a number line, we're at 8. We are going to go 13 units to the left, so that becomes -5. And you could go back and check your work by finding your solution. I think that this is kind of counterproductive, but if it works for somebody, it works for somebody. Let's do maximize the screen. So find -10 minus 7. So we're going to change that to being adding a negative. And this one makes a lot more sense for people. Last period, they liked this one more. We have a -10. We are making it more negative. So we have 10 plus -7 becomes -17. Sorry. Yeah, then you can check as well. So go ahead and take a minute and rewrite A, B, and C as being an addition sentence, and then find the difference, or find the sum. Rewrite it as an addition sentence the way we were doing it, up or high on the page. We're doing A, B, and C. I want you to try it a little bit, something. Or this here. Try something. I need you to rewrite it. You're rewriting it as an addition sentence, and then find the sum. Yes, sir. So is that an addition sentence? Okay, so look how we did it here. See how this one was negative 10 minus 7? It was rewritten as 10 plus negative 7 for number 2. So how are you going to write 6 minus 12 as an addition problem? Plus, yep. Yep, you got to put the parentheses on there. Parentheses. And it wouldn't be 12, it'd be minus, or negative 12. Negative 12. Yeah, yeah. If you guys have room, you can use that. So this is what you should have written, whether it was over on the left side or below it. You should have 6 plus, parenthesis, negative 12. For this one, you should have written negative 20 plus negative 15. This one should be negative 22 plus negative 26. Yes, sir? That could work like that as well, but I don't want to demonstrate that because it could confuse a lot of people. And that's not how it was shown in the book necessarily, but yes, if that's the way your brain works, heck yeah. All right, so I'm going to talk my way through these. For A, we have 6 plus negative 12. So on a number line, we'd be at 6, and we're adding negatives to it, so we go to the left 12 units. So it becomes negative 6. For B, we have negative 20 plus negative 15. We have two negative numbers here that we're adding together. So we have a negative number, and it's being more negative. It becomes more negative, so it becomes negative 35. Then we have C. We have a negative number plus another negative number, so it's becoming more negative, and it comes out to be negative 48. Any questions about that? Some more examples. Here's the same situation where a negative and a negative becomes positive, where we have 1 minus negative 2. And in this situation, when I said negative, I'm just trying to make you guys think of a double negative in English, where it becomes a positive. 1 minus negative 2 is just like turning into an addition problem with the additive inverse 1 plus 2. Which equals 3. I think when some of you saw this, and maybe your parents or your siblings saw the kind of math that we're doing right now, it's like, are you really doing 1 plus 2 in 7th grade pre-algebra? Yes. Yes, we are, because integers are not easy. So now we're going to find negative 10 minus negative 7. So the minus and the negative, these two become plus. So we have negative 10 plus 7. The absolute value of the negative number is higher, so it's going to be negative, and we have negative 3. Yes, sir? If it's a subtraction problem, yes. Yes. Because from the previous ones, another way to put it, it said that what we need to do is change this. We change the second number to its additive inverse. The additive inverse is a positive 7 when we change the sign to plus. But I like to think of it as just being minus negative. One of the arms changes and becomes a plus. And for those of you that don't wear glasses and you don't know what it's like to have a mask fogging up your glasses, yeah, or during the winter when you come in from outside or outside from inside, yeah. I'm letting my eyeballs rest today, so. Yeah. That's funny. So 4 minus negative 12, we change it to addition with the additive inverse. The two negatives, or the two negative symbols, rotate to be a plus sign. We have 16. And also, if you're watching this at home, if you want to pause these and do it yourself before I show you how to do it, that's totally fine. Well, the thing is, this video, I think the 3.1 and 3.2 videos have been watched like 20 times at least. I don't know how much of them are watching, and since I'm not using guys' faces or names, I might just put this live onto YouTube rather than only putting it on Schoology. But I will put it on Schoology. All the other ones that I've done, because people's faces showed up, it's only on Schoology through YouTube. But you can't get to it on YouTube. So we got negative 15 minus negative 5. We do the additive inverse, and it becomes negative 5 plus 5. Tuesdays on NBC. Now we have 18 minus negative 6 becomes 18 plus 6. That just becomes 24. And once again, you guys can write these answers over here, but I'm not going to be moving the mouse more than I need to. Just because the less movement on the screen when you're sitting at your computer or on your phone watching, the easier it is to follow. So can you put that coin away, please? Thank you. So now we get to do some algebra in pre-algebra. So when it says evaluate, that's just another mathematical term of saying answer. It's the same way that the answer to an addition problem is a sum, and the answer to a subtraction problem is a difference. So evaluate. What you're going to be doing is we're going to plug in these variables. So it says evaluate x minus y if x equals 6, and that's the red. And then if y equals negative 5, which is the blue. Negative 6 minus negative 5 becomes negative 6 plus 5, and that comes out to be negative 1. There are like six questions on tomorrow's homework for you guys that are like, there's 6 or more. I think maybe 6. Sorry, tomorrow. It's due ideally for you guys at midnight tomorrow. No, there's 9 of them. You guys have 24 questions on tomorrow's homework. The other ones you only had 12 or 15. Evaluate m minus n if m equals negative 15 and n equals 8. You plug in those answers where it's m equals negative 15 and n equals negative 8. Sorry, just regular 8. We do the additive inverse. We have negative 15 plus negative 8 because of the additive inverse from last lesson. Negative 15 plus negative 8. We are at negative 15. We are adding more negative numbers to it. So it comes out to be negative 23. All right, take a moment to do G, H, and I. I will get you started with H. A equals 5 minus B, which is negative 8. So do those three. And I want you to rewrite them with the numbers in there. All right, now I'm going to rework these. In the orange, I have how you would have plugged in the variables. Then we have the additive inverse, negative 8 plus negative 10. 5 plus 8. Negative 9 minus, plus negative 5. And the solution is you should have. We have negative 8, we're going further negative, minus 10. 5 plus 8 is simply 13. Minus 9, we're going further negative, negative 14. Yes, sir?
How do you know whether to make like a positive or
I'll answer that in two different ways. Since the 8, the variable given to you, is a negative 8, all you're doing is switching this sign here and switching this sign here as well. So it's the additive inverse. Additive inverse. So the second number, regardless, you're switching that, which means you switch the sign. But if it's a subtracting a negative, it's subtracting a negative, and it becomes positive for addition. Any questions on GHI? Okay. The temperatures on the moon vary from negative 173 degrees Celsius to 127 degrees Celsius. Find the difference between the maximum and minimum of the temperatures. Subtract the lower temperature from the higher temperature. Now it says to estimate, and I don't like this example because it gives an estimate of the actual answer. So that would be lucking out. So we have the top temperature of 127 degrees. We're going to subtract it from 173 Celsius on the negative. So it becomes 127 degrees minus negative 173 degrees, which comes out to be 300 degrees. Or sorry, just 300. That's the integer. So it says here, so the difference between the temperatures is 300 degrees. If you had this question, and there is a question just like that on the homework, on McGraw-Hill, you would enter it by doing, oops, not that. You would enter it as this. Whoa. 300 degrees Celsius. 300 degrees Celsius. And the degree symbol is not the exponent 0. It's the second one that looks like degrees. There's one that looks like you could do this. 300, and then there's a 0 Celsius, but it's going to be the one that's more circular. And if it asked you for higher or lower, you would write 300 degrees higher if that was the way the question was asked. Brenda had a balance of negative $52 in her account. The bank charged her a fee of $10 for having a negative balance. And just to let you know, yes, banks do that. Exactly. Banks are like, oh, you don't have any money in your account. Pow! Now you have even less money in your account, and you owe it to us. It's like, that doesn't make sense. But a lot of things with banking doesn't. So they charge her a fee of $10 for having a negative balance. What's her new balance? So she starts out at negative $52. They add a charge of $10 more. So she now has $10 less than she didn't have before. So it's now at negative $62. And that's how you would write it into McGraw-Hill, because that is the way they have it laid out in the question, with the negative symbol before the dollar symbol. Yep.
I was going to say, when I was doing my
Uh-huh.
the last 3 questions.
Yes. I already talked about that in the updates and in class a couple times. I'm changing your guys' grades to be accurate. Because one of them, the correct answer was 5 pounds higher, or 5 pounds above, and people were changing it to LBS, even though I explicitly told you guys not to change it to LBS. Yes?
So one, I put the 10, the little circle, and the Fahrenheit.
As I said, I'm changing those answers.
But then when I read through it was the same exact answer. I was like, why did that calculate wrong?
It's because there's an exponent of 0 under the omega button, because on your homework, below where you enter stuff, there's a square, and then there's an omega symbol. And there's one that looks like a degrees, but it's actually an exponent of 0. Yeah, so that's totally not your guys' fault. That's just like a computer only wanting exactly to be put one way, and anything else, they'll be like, that's wrong, that's not what I wanted. So let's subtract. We're going to do the additive inverse of these guys. So 14, to change to the additive inverse, because 14 plus negative 17. We're at 14 on the number line, and we drop down 17, which leaves us to negative 3. We have 14, and a double negative becomes a positive. I'm picking up the pace a little bit so I can distribute the homework before class is over in 6 minutes. (12 minus 26), the additive inverse is 12 plus negative 26. Just as a light mention, one of the students a minute ago asked if we could do this. And yes, that will come up. It's the same thing. But I'm putting that away. Okay, the last one that we're going to do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Last thing we're going to do. Q minus R. If Q is negative 14 and R is negative 6, we just got to plug these in. And sometimes it won't be in the same order. Sometimes it won't be in the same order, so make sure that you guys are paying attention and applying it the way that the question had it. So we have negative 14 minus negative 6. I'm going to rewrite that as being negative 14 plus 6, which comes out to be 8.